Quick announcement before the episode starts today. What a wonderful day it is today, because Book More Weddings 2019 is officially out right now. If you head over to my Instagram page, you can click through to the link to get Book More Weddings 2019. It is everything that I know to be successful in 2019. It's not what I did to become successful. It is what I would be doing right now. It is specifically 9 things that you need to be focusing on. If you're not doing one of them, you're going to be spinning your wheels for a little bit. The idea is essentially that if you are not yet where you want to be in your photography career, if you're just starting out, if you dream of becoming a great wedding photographer and you do want to go full time, you want the 9-to-5 job to go away so that you're in full control of your life and your future, and that you can't be laid off if there's another recession, which seems like it's a pending doom, at least as far as like all the financial people that I've been listening to are saying that that's upcoming. So maybe this is the time, 2019 right now, that you begin the process so that if that does happen, that you're able to book weddings and have that future career, I guess, because the huge positive with weddings specifically is that when you book a wedding now, that you get the deposit, and a year from now you're actually collecting the final payment. And I built my business in 2007, 2008, 2009, and I was really flourishing at that point. And the cool thing is that nobody really cancels their wedding, that they have those funds set aside, that photography, if it's important to them, they're not going to cancel their photographer. So in a sense, wedding photography is recession proof. The commercial end of my business definitely took a huge nosedive, and I didn't book a whole lot of work from there, but weddings seem to have been recession proof. So word of, I guess, advice and warning for you guys. Book More Weddings 2019 out right now. Head over to my Instagram page. The link is in the profile, and you can buy it and you can watch it all right now. And then on Tuesday of this week, this coming Tuesday, it is no longer for sale until January 1st. So it's essentially to give everyone a head start, so you, the early adopters, can start implementing all these strategies in your local area before it gets too saturated. Because typically I think that usually between like 3,000 and 8,000 people buy this course every year. It's a course that I've been making every year. So those are my thoughts for today. Thanks for listening. On to today's episode. Good morning, everyone. I am Taylor. It might not be morning where you are. These podcasts typically, with the exception of one day this week that my automation didn't go off because I forgot to upload the MP3, they typically go up at 8 a.m. And I do my best to do them the night before or the morning of, because I do like the idea. Well, I guess there's a few reasons for it. One, I like to talk about whatever was happening yesterday. If something happened in photography that's super important, I want to be able to talk about that. I want to be able to talk about my experiences with the Canon R and different things like that, and not worry too much about the fact that I have like already 6 months of episodes scheduled out, so I can't cover any new content. The other reason is the reason that I actually began this podcast, which was, if you listen to the first episode, pretty much this is as much learning for me as it is for you guys, that I am a very poor speaker when it comes to just doing one take. And if you watch any of my first videos, they're all like really slam cut together. Even future videos, like if I'm just having an off day, you'll notice that I do use a lot of just like jump cuts, because I will speak very quickly in like 10, 15 second increments and then lose my train of thought. So this podcast is helping me just like train my brain to not say or pause or do something that requires me to go in and edit. So all these podcasts are pretty much one take, with the exception of like 2 days ago where I kind of punched in because I didn't really cover all the content that I anticipated. So this is a truth too. If you want to get good at something, do it every single day. If you want to get better at recording videos, if you want to get better in front of the camera, just start making a new video every single day and you will get very good very quickly. Same with photography. Like if you feel like your photo skills, that they could be better, just start spending every day and coming up with a half-hour shoot, somewhere to be, something to go do, whether it's in your local community or whether it's actually contacting people or local influencers or local politicians or local startup people, business people, whatever your interests are. Go out and just start creating content and create that content every day, because that's how you get better. That's how you get good. And also, it's how you avoid burnout. If you're doing the things that you want to be doing and you're guiding the direction of your future portfolio, that is the way that keeps me happy. I want to give a quick shout out. So I'm actually, even on the tails of all that, I am pre-recording this because I'm currently on an airplane right now from Toronto area down to Florida. My friend Devin is flying, so it's going to be an exciting time. I hope. I don't know. I'll let you know tomorrow. And today I've been listening to it's a Skrillex set from the Boiler Room in Shanghai, and it is some of the greatest music I've ever heard in like a 70-minute set. So if you are into good music, and that might seem counterintuitive if you followed Skrillex's progression. So actually, you know what? I'm going to talk about Skrillex for a second. So he's basically capitalized on all of the prime moments in music and made a business out of it and been the center of attention. So back in MySpace, the emo days, he was in a band called From First to Last. He was super young, and he got into that band when I don't even think he could drive a car. He went on tour, like was this huge success in the emo scene, went back home, sat at home for a couple of years, and then essentially got in really early on in dubstep and just started creating the quote unquote dubstep anthems and what the cliche dubstep songs you think of whenever you think of that genre. And so he basically went from like capitalizing on emo, making a ton of money, capitalizing on dubstep and this new emerging EDM market in North America. EDM's always been like huge everywhere else in the world, but it never really took off in the States and Canada. And so he absolutely dominated. Deadmau5 signed him. Deadmau5 is from Toronto. Wicked awesome dude, even though a lot of people probably give him a bad rap because I guess like probably a lot of us that we're introverted nerds, and when you blow up and you have to be a face of something and you have to be out there constantly, it does do a lot of negative things, I think, to your mind. So maybe you're not as courteous with fans as you should be because it's just not your personality and you're just not having a good day. So I totally understand and respect that. Anyways, so he signed Skrillex and him kind of blow up in tandem, I guess, together even greater. And then this set that I'm talking about specifically now is not even dubstep related at all. That now he is Skrillex has actually become like an incredible DJ, and I guess like his strength, he has a couple strengths. So I guess like technically, I've always felt that he is a very good producer when it comes to drum beats and just like understanding what makes people in a large room move. And then also his other strength is just knowing where trends are going. And I think that is something that we can all learn from in photography, that if you are able to forecast like what's going to be happening a year from now and start creating that content and wait for the industry to catch up to you, I think that is an incredible, amazing thing to be able to do. And there's so very few people in the world. So if you are one of those fortunate people that in the past that you've been able to predict trends, that you've seen them come to fruition, and you're being honest with yourself that you actually did do those, I would say really just kind of like focus on what's coming next and start creating that work and be there when the industry arrives to you. And the thing that I've been kind of, I guess, waiting for is, and it's coming, it's slowly coming, I guess it's a little confusing, is the hybrid photo video phase of photography, where I really do believe that at some point we will all just be shooting like 8K video, 10K video, whatever, and you'll have some sort of AI program that will go through and it will pull out all the moments that it understands to be important moments when people smile and face the camera, that you're not going to have to actually catch that decisive moment, that if you're just rolling on that like 10, 15 seconds, that it's going to pull the best few moments for you. The idea of shooting like video coverage for the entire day and pulling stills from it is a little crazy because of the time commitment, but if something can go in and essentially do like a rough cull of all your video footage and give you a folder with like 3,000 photos that it thinks are good, and you can go through and refine further from there, I think that would be a powerful technology. So maybe if you're a coder, I don't think that maybe this is in development, I don't know. That's what I want to exist, and I'm not comfortable enough to create it. I actually went to school for computer programming, but it's not something that I focus on now. So if you're a coder and that sounds interesting to you, I would love to use that. I would be your biggest fan, your biggest advocate. So that was a lot of tangents. Let's get back on track and not focused on Skrillex and his DJings and other future products that I want to buy, that I want to exist. And let's talk about building credibility in your niche of photography. So the way that I've kind of did it, and I accidentally did it back in the day, that I was a concert photographer. I'm sure you've heard this story. Went to New York City to record with a band, did some photos of that band, came home, and everybody thought that I was this amazing photographer that went to New York City to photograph and document a band recording, which I technically did do, but it was all financed on my own, that I just hopped in the van, the little short van with them. Super surprised we got across the border, to be honest, in like a sketchy short bus that's been converted into like a camo band van. I don't know. We didn't get searched. We just like went straight through, arrived. Actually, this was like really cool. So we arrived in Manhattan around like 3:30, 4 in the morning. And like one of my favorite memories from life is just driving into New York City at that time, assuming I was like, everything that I've ever been told is like, oh, it's like gridlock, it's a challenge to drive. And I actually find driving in New York City easier than a lot of other major cities because it's just so well structured. So driving in and just driving through Times Square, because we took the scenic route first time there, and it was one of the coolest things ever. Just like nobody around, and then we got to Brooklyn. We were in Greenpoint, and we heard some gunshots go off as soon as we started loading the guitars out of the truck at or the bus at like 4:35 in the morning, and then we just stayed up and recorded that entire day. So coming home and documenting this process, the photos were not good. The photos I processed terribly, and I've lost the raws because I didn't have proper backup processes at that time. I also actually dropped one of my cameras at a little point and shoot into the East River. So that's a real story that you might have heard in other videos, that I lost like a half a day of work because I had this Canon point and shoot that I was just using for street photography, because the media had warned me so much, and my parents, and it's like, oh, you're going to a big city. There's like, it's like the scariest place in the world. Like, don't bring your SLR out. And now, like, after going to New York for like 10 plus years, it's like, I would say, one of the safest places in the world to be. So don't believe the media attention. That was my learning curve, I guess. And that was actually one of the reasons that I started A Photographer In, was that I wanted to go to cities that had bad raps in the media, like Israel and Palestine, and actually just like learn myself and be in those places rather than just being susceptible to the media. So this is an episode of Tangents. That was another great tangent. I hope that you enjoyed. Building credibility. So went down to New York, came back, and everybody wanted me to come shoot their band and do their band promos and all kinds of different things just because I did a trip. Right now, I'm actually on a trip that is essentially doing the same thing again. And I realized that the more that I do it, the more that I just kind of get credibility and respect. I find that travel is the easiest kind of life hack to getting that. So today I'm on my way down with, I'm the seventh wheel. So we're heading down to my friend Mike's. It's a lot of Mike's. So Mike McCauley, we're heading down to his parents' house in Naples, Florida. And then Michael Litt, who is one of my good friends, and Donna Litt, and Devin and Brittany, and we're just kind of, I'm just seventh wheel. So I'm 100% going to take advantage selfishly and also non-selfishly for photographing those couples while we're down in Florida, because we are in that place that I can create a lot of great images. I've brought my proper kit. I've actually brought the Canon R. So I've only brought the Canon R with the 50mm lens, my 35, the actual RF 35, and my kind of modified adaptered 16 to 35 f4. I find that the 16 to 35 f4 has been really good. I also find that the Canon IS, the stabilization in the lens, is a lot better than Nikon's for the wide angle lenses. I find that the telephoto lenses on Nikon are really amazing, and they're probably equally as good on Canon. I haven't played around too heavily with them yet, but the wide angle stabilization in that 16 to 35 is really, really fantastic. The stabilization in the 35 RF, one, I like the fact that it's nice and small, and it's kind of, if you know me, my documentary filmmaking kit is usually just a 35. We did the entire Porsche road trip just with a 35. Except for the first day where we shot on like 15 different cameras, and then we realized that was dumb, and just do it on one and a 35mm lens. So that's kind of like my happy kit. I'm bringing a lot of stuff. My 50 is going to be what I do actual couples photos with, and then everything else is just for video documentation of whatever happens. Next, I'm heading over to Vegas and then into California for a little bit. So, and then home for a couple of days, and then off to Japan. So if you're in any of those places, maybe drop me a DM, and I will be happy to hopefully meet up for a beer or something. Specifically, if you're in Tokyo, I know a couple people in Tokyo, but not a whole lot. So it would be cool to see you. I also, I just have some questions about the photography culture over there that I would love to bring to the podcast. So if you're in Tokyo or nearby and wouldn't mind coming in, I'm also cool with going to you, because we don't have a whole lot planned. We know we're going to take some GTRs out into the countryside, Nissan, they're fast cars that we don't have a whole lot of here, and go for a bit of a drive. Also going to, I guess, like the biggest or one of the biggest underground car shows is there, or going off whenever we're there as well. And one of the guys that we're there with is, he is basically one of the biggest importers of Japanese domestic products into, for cars, into this specific community that we live in. So should be cool. Anyways, all of that is establishing my credibility and doing cool work out there in the world. I have this persona now that specifically, like wedding couples, people don't believe that I shoot weddings anymore. Like locally, that's kind of when people actually hire me for a wedding photographer, they're confused that like, one, I'm home, and two, that I'm actually willing to shoot their wedding for a reasonable price. And I think that by building up this what looks to be like this worldly persona and then selling at like a reasonable cost, does a lot of good things. So that's kind of what I've focused on, that I am really competitive in my local area, that a lot of people believe that I'm like this $10,000, $15,000 a day photographer, and I'm happy to have them think that. And then when they inquire and they're just like happy and they're like, yeah, well, of course we're going to book you, because they've watched this travel content. They've watched me maybe travel with their friends, or like do photos of their friends, or do photos of other important people in town. I think that's another thing that can be a credibility hack as well, is if you are, I would say that you have to be like at least a little bit connected in your local area, your local town, to be able to start this project. But if you just start a project where you just document the important people around the city, to step this up one further, to do a documentary and to just like get into the room with these people and ask them questions either about like our community. Like, everyone is passionate about where they live for the most part. So if you are doing like a happy interest piece with no like hidden like side business, that like at the end of it, it's like, oh, and buy my like book about photography of our local area. I guess that'd be relevant. That'd be fine actually. But if you just get in the room and just ask people about what sets your local community apart from everywhere else, and this could be either your city, or this could be like niche down to just like the small like downtown core, or it could be like the suburbs, or you could one of the like the coolest things that I've seen happen around here is not that we do the food show that's in like Kitchener-Waterloo here, and then somebody, it's not out yet, but I want it to be out. I don't know if it's a real project. It might have fallen apart. But somebody went around like the suburbs of the Toronto area and found all of like the coolest restaurant spots that nobody really knows about. And they're not in the downtown core, so they don't get press. They don't get written about nearly as much. And they went out and they just found all these like cool spots, and they got a lot of media coverage. They launched Indiegogo and they made a bunch of money. So hopefully the show is coming, but just to kind of show you that like there's no real limits to what you can create, that if you want something to exist, go out and create it as long as it's within your bounds. I unfortunately can't make my virtual reality or my artificial intelligence image selector, but if it is within your power to create, I would say go out and create it if you want it, because that's how you know that at least you're the target audience, that there is at least one viewer, and there's probably going to be at least another 1,000 people out there in the world like you. So start creating content for yourself. Obviously do it in a smart way. But I don't think you need to like go into a focus room and be like, would this be a cool project, and ask like 50 people. That if you and like your closest friends can kind of give you that stamp of approval that like, yes, this would be a worthwhile use of your time. And yes, I would watch this, or yes, I would view this, or I would share this. And the other thing that comes along with doing local interest pieces and things on your local industry or economy, or just city in general, is that so many people are going to want to get behind it and share it, that everybody wants to brag about how awesome their community is, how like tell all their friends in their Facebook land or their Instagram land about like all the cool things that are happening here, or what's happening in their business is involved, or they're an investor in this company, or they're a sponsor of this project that you're doing. There's a lot of different ways that you can get credibility from that, as far as like shares go, and they can come back to your Facebook page or your Instagram page or wherever. The other big benefit to doing a project like this as well is the fact that your local media is going to pick it up quite a lot as well. So if you're doing a for good project in your local area telling good stories, there's a good chance that your local media, like your television, your radio, your magazines, newspapers, are all going to want you to be part of it. And it's pretty much like the way that it usually goes is there is just one piece of content, like somebody writes a newspaper article about you, and then immediately you are considered newsworthy and everyone else gets in touch. So it's really just about getting that first connection, that first publishing somewhere, and then everything else takes off. Lindsay, this would have been, I guess, like 2 years ago now. This is probably like one of the crazier stories I've heard of in wedding photography, and I'm happy that it happened to Lindsay, my wife. And so she is, this is kind of in the, I guess, like the beginning stages of the Syrian refugee crisis, that Canada is one of the countries that was accepting quite a lot of refugees from Syria. And Lindsay was at a wedding in a city that's like 20 minutes from here. And during the getting ready process, the zipper broke on the bride's dress. Not a Syrian bride, just a bride from Guelph, Ontario, Canada, if you're familiar with the area. And so her dress breaks. They're in an Airbnb that they've rented. There's like no tools or thread or anything that they can really use to fix the dress up. So they head over to the neighbor who looks like he has like a workshop in his garage. They knock on the door and they ask like, this is the situation. Do you have anything that we could possibly use to actually like to fix the dress? And he's like, yeah, well, I have some thread and some pliers, but I also have a master tailor that just arrived from Syria a couple of days ago, and we're hosting them until they get on their feet here in Canada. So like 3 minutes goes by, the Syrian tailor comes over, like master tailor, and sews the bride into her dress. So Lindsay obviously documents that and understands that, one, it's like an important thing for specifically the day, and two, she understands because she does have a lot of media training. She knows how big of a story that this could be, like that this is like the story that the media is craving right now. And again, this kind of goes back to just shooting as much as you can and being in the right place at the right time. And she really just like kind of understood that like, hey, this is like something that for sure our local media is going to share because they want more support to bring more refugees into Canada, and they need funding, and this is kind of the stories that help generate that. So she knew that. She gets home from the wedding and writes a post about it. It goes up at like 7 a.m. the next morning, and she scheduled it for that and then was sleeping, and I think we woke up around like 8:30 or 9, and by that point it already had like thousands of likes and hundreds of shares. CTV, which is our local TV station, got in touch with her and they were like, hey, can we come run like a piece on you quickly? So they created this piece of content, which was just like an interview with her with the images and then a Skype interview with a couple. And they syndicated this out pretty much to all their networks across Canada. From that, CNN picked it up and put it in like primetime news, like on their cycle as well. So this story is now like breaking in CNN, and because of that, like BBC picks it up, and pretty much every major news organization within the span of, I would say, like 4 days is now running this story. And as far as like credibility goes and like just key indicators, that if you have all of this media attention, that your images, like your literal wedding images, have now been featured on CNN and NBC and like BBC and every other news organization, and people would like be emailing at all times to like try to get interviews, like Skype interviews with her, to get like content that she hasn't told the media. But in reality, it was a pretty simple story. So the story eventually became, by like the 5th or 6th interview, about the impact that the story actually had, which was an interesting twist. So she knew to kind of modify it in that way, and rather than just like keep telling the same exact story, now that it had legs, now that people were interested, she kind of flipped it into the fact that like this is how much good it's actually doing for the Syrian refugee crisis. So in a sense, her wedding photos, this guy coming in to save the day, speaking no English, just like knows what to do, fixes the dress, and because of that, now Lindsay's been featured everywhere. So I guess like the other credibility thing is like, one, traveling is kind of the instant hack to that, setting up travel shoots. Two is just like really just understanding what your local community wants and what they will share and what looks good to people there. And then 3, if you're ever in any of those extreme, just like fortunate and like crazy timely situations, that you know that you're prepared and that you know, I guess, you have an understanding of what you have, because it would have been very easy for her to like go home and not schedule out that post and not really tell anybody about it and not write the full story for like media to just like grab onto and share. So always kind of understand what you have if you are in a unique moment like that. So those are my thoughts on building credibility and just like being, I guess, a good photographer, and a photographer that is easy to feature out in the world. I think another great thing is that if you are able to just start doing some video, get in front of the camera a little bit, that if a situation like that does happen to you, that you will be prepared for it. You will be okay with being in front of the camera. And because of that, another thing that we've kind of noticed is that now, because of all of this media attention, that at least locally, she's now like the industry expert on both weddings and photography and also social media. So anytime that they need any of that, they usually send her an email and they will feature her based on whatever project they're trying to run, if they just need another person in a segment. And so now she's a go-to because she understands media, and she knows like that to have like those key points and just keep hitting them over and over again and give them all different variations of it so they can cut with it what they want. So some thoughts to you today on this glorious Thursday. Book More Weddings is out today, so head over to Instagram.com Taylor Jackson, and it is in the profile link up there. And you can get that course, and hopefully you'll learn lots of things from that course. There is a ton of bonuses. I don't want to go into it here because it would make the podcast another 25 minutes, but there are a lot of bonuses, a lot of content. So if you want to watch a lot of videos of me teaching you things, and also on camera videos and on camera videos at engagement sessions and weddings, and you also get the highlight film course as well as a bonus. So if you're interested in actually making highlight films for your wedding couples, this is a full breakdown. This is a full extra course that's usually $139. And it is like my step-by-step process about how and what I use to create videos, how I do it on the day, including a full wedding day from the Dominican Republic. I think we were in Dominican. So a full destination wedding video that shows you how to create videos, as well as another bonus video that shows you how to do both photo and video coverage at the same time. So if these are interesting things to you, head over to Instagram.com/Taylor Jackson, and the link will be waiting for you. But just get it before Tuesday, because Tuesday it's closed until January 1st. So do it then. Thanks for listening. I will see you tomorrow from sunny Florida.